Good afternoon. My name is Marco Carnovale from the Brussels Wine Club, the roving sommelier, and we are here today on a virtual meeting with Andrea Giraud of Pascal Chatonnet, which is a chateau in Bordeaux on the right bank, so la rive droite, which is famous, of course, for its merlot, sometimes by itself, sometimes mixed with the other famous grapes of the left bank, the Cabernet Sauvignon and the Cabernet Franc. So we'll hear about that. We'll give the floor to Andrea first to talk to us about the Pascal Chatonnet Chateau, and then we will have some comments on 3 wines, which she kindly provided and which we have tasted already, but 2 we have here and we'll taste together. And that hopefully will allow our listeners to learn more about this chateau, which I must say it's a big discovery for me. I didn't know about it before, but I'm very, very pleased. It's very good quality products. So Andrea, floor is to you.
Thank you very much, Marco. So I'm working for the vineyard Chatonnet for about 2 years now. I'm taking care of the export sales, and the Chateau Oceanio is our main chateau, but we have different wines, and I will explain to you later about those different wines. But we are a chateau in La Lande de Pomerol, so we have around 30 hectares of vineyard. It is still a family property, so Pascal Chatonnet owns the chateau and the vineyards, and he's also a very known wine consultant around the world. So he works for different winery, like for example Vega Sicilia in Spain, and other in France, like Cos d'Estournel, Beaucastel, a lot of different good wineries. Mm-hmm. So that means that we have his expertise for wines, which is a great thing. But most of our vineyards are in La Lande de Pomerol, an appellation between Saint-Emilion and Pomerol, of course, very, very known appellations. And we also have 1 hectare in Saint-Emilion. We will talk about it later because I've sent you 1 wine, the Archange, which is 100% merlot and which comes from Saint-Emilion. But mainly we have 28 hectares in La Lande de Pomerol, so 28 on 30 hectares, which is our main appellation. And we also have another very small appellation, which is called Montagne Saint-Emilion. We have around 40 acres, so it's a small parcel of vine. And so we are, as I said, family business since 1967. Janine Chatonnet and André Chatonnet, Pascal Chatonnet's parents, own the vineyards. And they developed it quite quickly because they begin with 8 hectares only, and today we are at 30 hectares. It's very good quality wine with the traditional Bordeaux winemaking process. So we respect the tradition, even if we are still looking for some innovation in our winemaking process. We are since 2021 in conversion for organical agriculture, which is very important to say, even though we began this transition a long time ago, like 8 years ago. We stopped using any kind of product in our vines. So it has always been part of the values of the chateau. So I hope this introduction.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about La Lande de Pomerol? Because as you said, Pomerol is very famous. Anybody who knows anything about French wines will know Pomerol. La Lande de Pomerol somehow is considered to be like a younger brother, like like I wouldn't say second class, but some kind of like the junior partner of is that true? Is there a reason for that, or is it just a question of name and the history of the reputation? Is it very different? The terroir, is it so different?
I think there is an explanation to that, because in La Lande de Pomerol, we have very different kinds of vineyards. So we have a lot of big vineyards doing, let's say, a lot of hectoliters of wine, and not very known for their quality. And in another hand, we have very good quality vineyards. So we have this totally difference between those two, which makes a mixed appellation, but with very qualitative wines inside it. And what's interesting for the consumer at the end is that they can have like the same and even better quality than a Pomerol, for example, but with a much less expensive price. So it's actually a good thing for the consumer. It's
actually always a very important factor, because obviously it's easy to buy excellent wines if you're spending a lot of money, but the challenge is to get a good quality to price ratio, which is not always easy. So maybe that's one reason to explore La Lande de Pomerol a bit more. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why we have like a lack of recognition, maybe. But if you try different La Lande de Pomerol, we are not the only one making good quality wines, and you can find really beautiful things and very, very well made, and even more interesting sometimes than good Pomerols. So I would say just go and look for some wines of the appellation, because they are really worth it.
How many bottles do you produce every year, roughly?
Yeah, so it depends, of course, if it's good or bad year. For example, when it's a good year, we can produce between 100,000 and 150,000 bottles in total on all of our appellations, including Saint-Emilion, Montaigne Saint-Emilion, and La Lande de Pomerol. But of course, that's when it's a good year. For example, in 2015, for our main wine, the most iconic wine, the Chateau, we produced around 90,000 bottles of this wine, only one wine. So that was a good year, but during other year, it can be much less, of course.
Okay, all right. So maybe we can start tasting. I did taste the Rochagnon, but I finished it, so I don't have it now. This one here.
Perfect.
And I thought it was a very good wine. It was kind of complete in its personality, if you want. You can feel the Cabernet Franc, a bit the tannins are still, obviously that's done on purpose. That's why you put Cabernet Franc, to have a bit more tannin. So maybe, I think I tasted the 2016 you sent me. And
yes.
If I were to do it again, I would probably wait for a few more years for that. But it was a very nice, a bit aggressive, but in a good way. Like we had it with some red meat, and then we had it again with some Chinese pork. So a bit fattiness. It was excellent to have this slight roughness of the but I say very slight roughness. It was not obviously not a rough wine, but yeah, quite interesting. And yeah, I should have, but of course we need to taste them now for this event, so I couldn't really wait. But the other bottle, 2018, maybe I will wait, if you allow me, for a little bit to
of
have
course.
it.
No, definitely.
And then the second one I opened last night is L'Archange, 2015. This one here.
Yeah, the Saint-Emilion.
Saint-Emilion, and this is, to me, it was a Marveille. I mean, it was really wonderful. 100% Merlot. Is it old vines or not particularly?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. Even for the Chateau actually, it is old vines too, because Chateau the average age of the vines are 45 years.
Okay.
So it's still very, very old. I didn't send you, but we are also making second wine. Our second wine, usually the vines are younger, of course.
Yeah.
But it's because it's the style of the wine. And for the Archange, the average age of the vines are 35 years old. So not that young.
No.
And it's an only one parcel, 1 hectare, 100% Merlot indeed. And I'm sure you liked it if you're a Merlot lover.
Yes, this one for me, again, I like Merlot. I like Bordeaux Merlot. I mean, I like somewhat less the Merlot from the New World. It's a bit maybe more too fruity. This Saint-Emilion has a bit more elegance, a bit more seriousness, if you want. I don't know. Sometimes you have very good Merlots from Chile or South Africa, but they're very fruity. They're very ébouillant, which is also good in a different way. But for me, this kind of Merlot is really good. And I would say this 2015, in my view, is ready now. I mean, it can probably wait a bit longer, but I don't know if you would recommend doing that. Would it improve? To me, it's excellent now. It's round, complex, long, completely harmonious. I don't see any reason to wait, but
yeah, it really depends of what you're looking for in a wine, basically. 2015, you can definitely enjoy it right now because it is already round. The tannins are integrated, so you can really appreciate it right now. But if you want to wait, it's a wine, you can wait for it for many years, but it will be very different. You will have more like cooked fruits, tertiary aromas instead of fresh fruit. So it depends of what you like. If you prefer to have more cooked fruit and some tertiary aromas, I would recommend to wait a little more, maybe like 3-5 years more, and you'll have an idea of what I'm saying. But if you like it right now, of course, you can definitely have it now.
Well, now it's open, so it's going to go. You sent me also 2014, which I did not open yet, but what do you recommend for that? How was your vintage in 2014?
So I've tasted it not that long ago, and I think it can wait longer, but it's already ready. So you can definitely open it, enjoy it. It is very different from the 15 because both vintage, like the weather was totally and completely different, so they were not worked the same way. And it's actually interesting if you can drink them side by side, so you can compare both of the vintages. It's actually very interesting, but you can keep it in your cellar if you want to wait some years. But I think it will not change like for the best. Right now, for me, it's the best to drink it. And actually, the restaurants right now in France are offering this one to the customer, the 2014, to open right now.
Well, thank you. The issue with the restaurants is not just in France, but it's that it's very difficult to find restaurants that are able to keep bottles as long as they should, because obviously it's a cost for them. And if they do keep them, and then the price is often very discouraging for somebody who goes out for a dinner. So it's very difficult to me. I have my best wines almost always at home. It's just best way to spend your money. Although of course sometimes you go to a Michelin star restaurant, what are you going to drink? You're not going to do one, so you have to have a good one. So yeah, but yeah, this is good to know. And the third wine you sent is La Serge, if I pronounce correctly.
La Sergue, yeah.
La Sergue. So this is not also a mix of the classic Bordeaux varieties, I understand. So Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Merlot, correct?
So no, this one is quite particular because it's effectively a blended wine.
Yeah.
So there are three different grape varieties. Inside it, of course, you find the traditional Merlot, around 70%. It depends of the vintage, between 70 and 76%. And then there are some Cabernet Franc, of course, around 20%, between 20 and 25, it depends again. And the rest is Malbec, which sometimes is not expected, but it gives a really interesting structure and an aromas in the wine. And it's actually the particularity of La Salle wine because it's a wine around the number 3. So it's about a wine with 3 different grape varieties, also 3 different terroirs because the parcels are not at the same place. So 3 different climates, 3 different also wood vats where we do the fermentation. And so it's all about the number 3 because after that you can find in this wine particular balance, and that's thanks to all those 3 differences. Particular balance. It's a wine which is very silky, very fine, very elegant, quite interesting because it's not something we're used to taste in La Lande de Pomol. So I would say it's all like premium cuvée in La Lande de Pomol. Did you taste it already? Or?
Yes, it's here. Yeah, I did.
Wonderful.
It's quite smooth, quite velvety, as you said. And I suppose the Cabernet Franc, you said it's 28%, but
yes, between 20 and 28, yeah.
You don't, it's hard to say, but I don't feel it that much. I feel of the Merlot a lot, and I didn't know Malbec because here it says the trois cépages. So when you think of trois cépages in Bordeaux, you think of Cabernet Sauvignon. But it's quite interesting to have Malbec. Very elegant, very complex, a lot of different nuances of flavors, and quite long. I mean, which is, in my view, it's very good quality in a wine.
Yeah, it's a wine you can definitely enjoy it during a fine dinner because it's so balanced, so smooth, but very complex too. So it's interesting to associate food with this wine, I think.
In terms of, since you mentioned about quality and price, in terms of sort of roughly average retail price of these 3 wines, what should people expect to pay for the Haut-Chagnot, the Archange, and the Sergue? Sure. More or less. It will be different from place to place, but
I will give you the French prices because, of course, I don't have the UK prices, but maybe it's going to be upper.
Yeah, UK after Brexit, we have this issue, but anyway, that's another story.
But just to give you an idea, the Chateau Haut-Chagnot, we sell it at the property in France, 23 euros.
Okay.
But I know I've seen it once in the UK in the retail. It was around, I think it was around 45, 50 pounds.
Wow, that's more than double. That's more than double.
Yeah, I know. I know because I bought one for myself when I was in London and I was like, maybe I can try to find one. And I was like, oh my God.
You couldn't be away from your wines for too long. You had to buy them.
Exactly. I've sent to myself some samples, but because it was after Brexit, the samples never came in London. So I was like, oh my God, how will I do it?
I mean, the sample you sent to us arrived very well, easily, but some other producers from the online fair, they had some delays, but eventually I think we got everything. Some had to pay some customs, but some didn't. I'm not sure why that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a big nuisance for us. Yeah. For us,
Yeah.
it's a huge nuisance because obviously London is I think it's still the biggest wine market in Europe. It used to be in the world, but now the Chinese have taken over that spot. And we'll talk about that maybe in a couple of minutes. Sorry. But now it's, sorry, it's a bit of an issue with shipping. If you take wine yourself, like when I drive, you can take, is it 24 bottles per person? So if my wife and I come, it's 48 bottles if I drive from France. So that's good enough. And they never check, to be honest. So if somebody wants to drive from France to Calais, and very rare, and so it's fairly safe. But if you ship it, the customs people, they like to pick and make life difficult. And
that's what someone told me. Yeah, and there was like a lot of, I don't know, about stealing and stuff. Apparently, it's very difficult at the moment. But I think they just want to make sure that everything is respected, and maybe that's why there are delays.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
So how about Archange in terms of price?
Sure. So Archange in France is 45 euros. It's like the top cuvée in terms of price. And then La Sergue is around 30 euros.
See, that's my problem. My problem with my favorite wines is the most expensive, you see.
It's always like that.
No, I like all three of them, but I must say Archange has struck my heart. So anyway, I think that's still quite an acceptable price for the quality. If, of course, if that means 45 euros, if that means 90 pounds in the UK, that's a different story, but we'll have to see about that. It's something we cannot, we just need to, people need to, and we, I mean, I do it, my friends, colleagues, sommeliers, we do it. Every time we go to Europe for a holiday or visit family by car, which is now, the easiest, best way to go, we just bring as much as possible in the car. And,
and that's the best way, because so we are trying to find an importer which is really good on the retail sector, and we are still looking, because we want really that our prices must be respected. So we don't want our wines to be too cheap, or we don't want our wines to be too expensive. So we really need to find someone who respects the prices by respecting, of course, his transport cost, his margin and everything. But we want it to be fair enough for the consumer. So that will be my job basically this year.
How long have you been in this job now?
So I've been working for 2 years for the Vineyard Chatonnet, but I started at the export since last year. I started in August from last year, so almost a year now.
Okay. And in terms of export markets, I mentioned earlier that London used to be the biggest market in the world. It's probably still the biggest in Europe, especially now that Russia is off the charts. But how about China? Because China, of course, is rising a lot, especially Hong Kong, but not only Hong Kong. Do you have a presence in China? Is that the potential for you?
Yes. So we work for, I don't know, I would say 5 years now with China. We have an agent who actually is in China, so he can really speak with the people, because I know I'm not the one to do that, because I don't speak Chinese at all. And I think this market is quite complicated, so you need to be from China to really sell wines in China, because it's all a different process. So we have an agent, and he resell our wines to different customers, but most of them are like luxurious restaurants, luxurious hotels, because they love Bordeaux wines, and they love also the Archange, of course, which is a Saint-Emilion, and they really enjoy the taste, and they are quite developing, even if since COVID we had like a slowdown on this market, and hopefully we were not only working with the Chinese market, because it would have been complicated. But right now it's going back again, in a good way, so that's nice. But I know like with COVID it was definitely complicated, and I know a lot of chateaux were working almost only with China, and it was a very difficult period for them. So we only have one agent, and he's the one taking care of the market at the moment. We don't know how it will be in the future, but I know it was it's a difficult market, because sometimes they can have also particular requests. I know that during 1 year they wanted like an amount of bottles, like big amount of bottles, and they wanted to relabel all of the bottles with their colors, with Chinese letters and everything. And it's quite difficult when you don't know the rules there, the rules here, you need to respect everything. So that's why now we have someone taking care of the markets. It's definitely easier for us.
I'll send you a message later. My wife is Chinese, and she's a wine lover and knows a lot about wines, and maybe she can help you. I don't know.
Yeah, no, maybe, because I know it's really, really difficult, and if you don't speak the language, and also well, the way of seeing wine, it's very different there than it is here. So that's why we wanted someone who is Chinese to take care of that. So our contact is Chinese, but he's also very, like, he speaks very good English, so we speak in English, and he takes care of everything, and it works very well. It's wonderful that way.
Yeah, excellent. And you should, I recommend you watch a movie that's called The Red Obsession. Maybe you've seen it already. Red Obsession. It's about the wine in China, about how some rich Chinese, as you say, they become very obsessed with European wine, particularly Bordeaux wines. And they want to, of course, they bought some chateaus altogether, and they want to have, their wine in their bedroom, and they have very peculiar habits. But obviously, it's a huge market now, so you have to. Yeah. And there's also a book that I may recommend to our listeners as well. It's called The Chinese Wine Renaissance. The Chinese Wine Renaissance. And it's about how the Chinese have come back to love wine and spend money on wine. I say come back because China has a long history of winemaking, even though in the last few decades and centuries, maybe it was not so widespread, and they use more rice liquor and rice wines. But now this renaissance of grape wine, of real wine, is really making huge strides. And of course, given the size of the population, it's something that cannot be ignored. So
definitely.
Yeah. And which are your top markets? Is France your main?
So of course our first market is France, and at the export we work a lot with Europe, and well, right now outside Europe, because we work with UK too. But our main markets are Belgium. Belgium is like the top one.
Really?
Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, UK, And right now we are trying to develop also Austria. Okay. So we have, after that, we have several other markets, of course, but the biggest one are those ones, yeah, definitely, okay. Europe.
Very good. Thank you very much. This has been very informative. Thank you very much for your samples, which have been most enjoyable. I will put them, as I said, in our website and on YouTube, and you will see some brief comments and scores and so on. But thank you very much for the opportunity. If in the future you want to continue, maybe we'll, we're obviously ready to cooperate with you, and maybe we'll see you next year at the online fair with new
wonderful
options. Maybe we'll
sure,
see you Bordeaux.
Thank you very much, Marco. It was really a good exchange. I'm sorry if my English is not like that perfect.
Your English is very good and far better than what we get a lot of times. It's very, very good. No, you are able to convey a lot of the nuances and the details. So, very good.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.